There's a crying baby in the heart of Bergen, and everyone walks past him like he's invisible. A violin virtuoso stands frozen mid-performance, water cascading around him for over a century. And somewhere in this city, a 7-meter monument tells the story of Vikings, whalers, and modern sailors. But most tourists never figure out what it actually means. Bergen's most famous statues hide incredible stories that most people never discover. These aren't just bronze figures gathering bird droppings. These are time capsules, love letters, political statements carved in stone. By the end of this video, you'll never walk past another statue the same way again. Ready to meet Bergen's silent storytellers? Let us go! The Sailor's Monument, Bergen's best-kept secret. Let's start with the most misunderstood monument in Bergen. You've probably walked past this 7-meter cuboid structure at Torgallmenningen without giving it a second thought. Most people do. But stop, really look at it. This isn't just a monument to sailors. It's a timeline of Norwegian maritime history carved in bronze. Sculptor Dyer Var created something extraordinary here in 1950. The monument features 12 bronze statues and 4 relief panels, with the statues grouped into 4 triads that face the cardinal directions, each direction representing a different era of Norwegian maritime history. Here's the brilliant part. Walk around it clockwise, and you're literally travelling through time. The west-facing side depicts Viking-age adventurers, notable for their armed portrayal with swords and a conspicuously large spear. The north side celebrates early modern-era 17th and 18th centuries seafarers. The east side features 19th century seamen, and the south side represents 20th century sailors. But Var didn't stop there. Each group is divided by social class, the poor, the middle class, and the elite. It's not just maritime history, it's a commentary on Norwegian society itself. King Haakon VII, the constitutional guardian. Walk over to Bergenhus fortress, and you'll find a king watching over Bergen's harbour. But King Haakon VII wasn't just any monarch. Kong Haakon was Norway's first constitutional king and ruled the Norwegian kingdom from 1906 to 1957. He led Norway through World War II and played a key role in rebuilding the country. Here's what makes his story incredible. When the Nazis demanded he surrender in 1940, he refused. He could have stayed comfortable in his palace. Instead, he fled to London and became the symbol of Norwegian resistance. That statue isn't just honouring a king, it's honouring the man who chose his people over his comfort. Wilhelm Freeman Coren Christie, the Constitution maker. At the Natural History Museum, there's a statue that looks like a Roman emperor. But this man shaped modern Norway more than any ancient Caesar ever did. Wilhelm Freeman Coren Christie, 1778 to 1849, was involved in drafting Norway's constitution and was later president of the Norwegian Parliament. The lion at the base of his statue? The life-size lion was added when the statue was moved to the museum square in 1925. The lion is similar to those outside the Norwegian Parliament in Oslo. That lion represents something powerful, the strength of democracy. Christie didn't just write laws, he helped birth a nation. Ole Bull, the first international star. Picture this, it's 1845. A Norwegian violinist walks onto a stage in New York City. The audience has never heard of Norway, let alone Norwegian music. Then he starts playing. Ole Bull, 1810 to 1880, was the first Norwegian artist to achieve international fame. Bull played an important role in shaping the Norwegian musical language that developed in the wake of the national romanticism in Norway. His statue at Nedre Ole Bull's Place shows him mid-performance, exactly as thousands of audiences saw him. The statue of Bull portrays him playing violin and is placed on top of a fountain with an eternal waterfall. That eternal waterfall? It's not just decorative. It represents the endless flow of music that Bull brought to the world. Even in bronze, he's still performing. Edvard Grieg, The Sound of Norway. In Byparken, facing the music pavilion, sits Bergen's most beloved composer. But Edvard Grieg almost never happened. Referred to as the greatest Norwegian composer of all time, Edvard Grieg, 1843 to 1907, continued the legacy after Bull. Grieg's music is often referred to as typically Norwegian. Here's the beautiful irony. Grieg was born in Bergen, but he had to travel the world to realize that his hometown's landscapes, folk songs, and even the sound of rain on wooden roofs were exactly what the world needed to hear. The city of Bergen has bestowed several statues of Grieg and has even named the Grand Concert Hall in Bergen after him, the Grieg Hall i Grieghallen. Every time you hear "In the Hall of the Mountain King," you're hearing Bergen through Grieg's ears. Henrik Ibsen, the playwright who shocked the world. In front of Bergen's theatre sits a figure that looks unsettling. That's intentional. Henrik Ibsen, 1828 to 1906, is considered to be the founder of modern realistic drama. He has, among others, written Peer Gynt and A Doll's House. But here's what makes Ibsen revolutionary. Ibsen was well ahead of his time with the issues he addressed in his plays. Many of the themes are still relevant, and his works are performed around the world to this day. When A Doll's House premiered, women in the audience gasped. Men walked out. The ending, where Nora leaves her husband and children to find herself, was scandalous beyond belief. That statue captures Ibsen perfectly, intense, uncompromising, and slightly menacing. He didn't write plays to make people comfortable. He wrote them to make people think. Amalie Skram, the feminist before feminism had a name. Hidden in Klosterhagen is a statue that tells one of Bergen's most important stories. Most people walk right past Amalie Skram without knowing she was fighting battles that women today are still fighting. Standing up for women's rights and giving married women a voice, Amalie Skram, 1846 to 1905, is an important figure in Norwegian literature. Her most powerful work? The tetralogy Hellemyrs Folket, The People of Hellemyr, published over a period of 11 years. Here's what took incredible courage. Skram's merciless revelations of repression in women within marriage and family made her a highly controversial writer. But the very same qualities would later make her a favourite author of modern feminist readers. In the 1890s, she was writing about domestic abuse, mental health, and women's autonomy. Topics that society wasn't ready to discuss. She wrote them anyway. Ludvig Holberg, the Comedy King. At Vagsalmenningen, with a perfect view of the fish market, stands Norway's master of laughter. Norwegian-Danish Ludvig Holberg, 1684 to 1754, is considered to be one of the most significant authors and playwrights in Norwegian and Danish history. But Holberg understood something profound. Sometimes the best way to criticize society is to make people laugh at it. His comedies were sharp, satirical, and absolutely hilarious. Since 2003, the University of Bergen has awarded the Holberg Prize for outstanding research in the fields of humanities, social sciences, law, and theology. The fact that his statue overlooks the fish market is perfect. Holberg loved the everyday people, the merchants, the fishermen, the regular folks trying to make a living. They were his inspiration and his audience. The Crying Boy, Bergen's most photographed mystery. In Byparken, there's a statue that breaks every tourist's heart and no one knows why. This crying baby is one of the most famous statues in downtown Bergen, although he doesn't seem so happy about it. The statue of the Crying Boy was made in 1930 by Sophus Madsen. Here's the thing about Sophus Madsen. He was a Norwegian sculptor who has left his mark on the cityscape in Bergen with a total of 28 works. The Crying Boy is one of 3 similar statues used in fountains around Lille Lungegardsvann. But why a crying child? Some say it represents the vulnerability of childhood. Others think it's about loss during wartime. The truth is, Madsen never explained it. Maybe that's the point. Sometimes art works best when it makes you feel something you can't quite name. The Virgin and the Unicorn, a Vigeland family secret. In Nygaardsparken, there's a fountain that connects Bergen to Oslo's famous Vigeland Park in the most unexpected way. Emanuel Vigeland, who is the creator of the fountain, is the younger brother of Gustav Vigeland, who created the Grand Sculpture Park in Oslo. While Gustav Vigeland was creating his massive sculpture park with hundreds of figures, Emanuel was here in Bergen, crafting something more intimate. This beautiful fountain is located between the upper and lower parts of Nygaardsparken. It's a gentler vision than his famous brother's work, where Gustav's sculptures often show the struggle of human existence. Emanuel's Virgin and Unicorn represent hope, purity, and magic. Christian Michelsen, the tallest man in town. In Byparken stands Bergen's most literally elevated figure. And there's a reason for that dramatic height. Michelsen was the first Prime Minister in Norway after the dissolution of the union between Sweden. He was highly regarded by the Norwegian people, a position fully emphasized by the pedestal ranging 21 meters high. That 21-meter pedestal isn't just showing off, it's telling a story. When Norway peacefully separated from Sweden in 1905, it was almost miraculous. No war, no bloodshed, just diplomatic genius. The statue was finished in 1938 by Gustav Vigeland, the same artist who made the Vigeland Park in Oslo. Michelsen stands tall because he helped a nation stand tall. The best statue walking route. Here's how to experience Bergen's statue story in one perfect walk. Start at Torgallmenningen with the Sailors' Monument. Walk south to Vagselmenningen for Holberg. Continue to Byparken for Grieg, the Crying Boy and Michelsen. Head to Engen for Ibsen, then finish at Klosterhagen for Amalie Skram. That's 7 major statues in about 2 kilometers. Perfect for a morning or afternoon exploration. Photography tips for statues. Golden hour works magic on bronze and stone. The warm light brings out textures and creates dramatic shadows. But don't ignore overcast days. Cloudy skies act like a giant softbox, eliminating harsh shadows and making details pop. Get close. Look for the small details, the texture of clothing, the expression in their eyes, the symbols at their bases. These statues are full of hidden meanings. Reading the stories. Every statue in Bergen has 3 stories: who they were, why they were honored, and what they meant to the city. Look for plaques, but also look at the positioning. Where they face, what they overlook, how high they stand, it all means something. And pay attention to what's around them. The trees, the buildings, the flow of people. The context tells you as much as the statue itself. Here's the thing about Bergen statues. They're not just honoring the past. They're asking questions about the present. Why do we choose to remember certain people and not others? What stories do we tell about ourselves through the figures we immortalize? Bergen statues reveal a city that values creativity over conquest, words over weapons, and courage over comfort. They show a place that honors those who asked difficult questions, challenged the status quo, and refused to stay silent. The crying boy asks, "What are we sad about?" Amalie Skram demands, "Whose voices aren't being heard?" The sailor's monument reminds us, where did we come from? And where are we going? These aren't just tourist attractions. They're mirrors reflecting who Bergen was, who it is, and who it wants to become. Here's your challenge. Find one statue, in Bergen or wherever you are, and spend 5 minutes really looking at it. What story is it telling? Share your discovery in the comment below. Subscribe for more hidden Norway stories. And remember, every statue has a story, you just have to listen.